It all started on a quiet Monday morning in a peaceful suburban neighborhood, until one woman turned the whole street into a scene straight out of a drama. Meet Karen, the self-appointed enforcer of the local HOA rules. Armed with her phone and a live stream, she decided she had the power to stop anyone she didn't approve of, even a special needs school bus just trying to do its job. The driver, just doing his daily route, was met with flashing lights and a car parked squarely in the middle of the road. Parents waiting for their kids began to gather, confused and concerned. And all the while, Karen kept her phone camera rolling, loudly claiming that this bus doesn't belong here, and accusing the driver of trespassing. But what she didn't expect was what happened next. Within minutes, what started as a live stream meant to expose wrongdoers began turning against her. Viewers flooded the comments, neighbors pulled out their own phones, and someone quietly made a call that would change everything. This wasn't just another neighborhood squabble. This was about to become a moment no one on that street would forget. Why was Karen so determined to block the bus? And what exactly happened when the police showed up? Stick around, because things are just getting started. To understand what led to this shocking moment, we need to rewind just a bit. Karen had been stirring up tension in the neighborhood for months. She wasn't elected to the HOA, but you'd never know it by the way she acted. She patrolled the streets, taking photos of violations, sending out long emails about trash cans left out too long or lawn decorations she didn't like. Most neighbors just rolled their eyes and tried to avoid her. But things started to shift when a new family moved in down the block. Their child had special needs, and the school arranged for a small bus to pick him up right in front of the house. It was nothing out of the ordinary, but for Karen, it was disruptive, unsafe, and against HOA policy. Never mind that the bus had full clearance from both the school district and the city. Behind the scenes, Karen had been quietly trying to rally support to stop the bus, but no one really backed her. So she took matters into her own hands, thinking she could force the issue by blocking it live on camera. What she didn't expect was how quickly things would spiral. With the live stream still running and comments pouring in, the tension on that street was rising fast, and something was about to snap. As the bus sat idling, stuck in place, the driver kept calm, but you could see the frustration in his eyes. He had a schedule to keep, other kids to pick up, and most importantly, a responsibility to get this child safely to school. The little boy's mom, standing at the end of her driveway, kept glancing at her phone, clearly shaken. She didn't want a scene, but this wasn't something she could just ignore. Meanwhile, Karen paced in front of her car with her phone held high, narrating her version of events to her followers. "This is not a public road," she insisted. "These buses don't belong in our community." But the comments weren't on her side. People started pointing out that she was blocking a special needs child's right to education. Some viewers even claimed they were calling the local authorities themselves. A few neighbors began to step outside, drawn by the commotion. One woman, a longtime resident named Maria, tried to speak to Karen quietly, suggesting she just move her car and talk it out later. Karen didn't listen. She turned the camera on Maria, accusing her of harassment. That's when things really started to shift. It wasn't just about a blocked bus anymore. It was turning into a neighborhood divided, with growing tension between those who wanted peace and one person who refused to back down. By now, nearly the whole street had come alive. More neighbors stepped out, some with coffee in hand, others in pajamas, all watching the standoff unfold. The special needs bus was still stuck, its lights flashing gently, the driver now on the phone, likely with dispatch or the school. Inside the bus, the child waited quietly, unaware of the chaos happening just outside. His mom stood protectively near the door, arms crossed, trying to stay calm as her phone buzzed non-stop. Karen, still live-streaming, grew louder and more defensive. "This is my right. This is our neighborhood. We have rules," she shouted, spinning the camera toward anyone who approached her. But the crowd was no longer just watching. They were whispering, filming, calling family members, even starting to argue amongst themselves. Then sirens, faint at first, but unmistakable. People turned their heads. Karen froze for a second, just a flicker of uncertainty, but kept filming. "Let them come," she muttered. As the police cruiser turned the corner and slowly approached, the street fell into a strange silence. No more shouting, just the hum of the bus, the soft echo of police tires rolling across the pavement, and the uneasy breath everyone seemed to hold at once. What would happen next? No one knew. But one thing was clear: this wasn't just a neighborly dispute anymore. It was about to reach a breaking point. The police cruiser came to a slow stop right behind the blocked school bus. Two officers stepped out, calm but alert, immediately taking in the scene: Karen still recording, the idling bus, and a growing crowd of anxious neighbors. One officer approached the driver to get the basic facts, while the other tried to speak with Karen, who didn't lower her phone for a second. "This is all on video," she said loudly. "I have every right to block unauthorized vehicles from entering private property." The officer remained polite, asking her to step to the side so they could talk, but Karen refused to move. Instead, she turned the camera back on the officer, demanding badge numbers and accusing them of siding with rule breakers. But then came the twist no one expected. The HOA president, who hadn't been seen in weeks, stepped out from behind one of the houses. Apparently, he'd been watching everything unfold silently from his porch, and he had receipts. Holding a clipboard and a printed copy of the HOA agreement, he calmly approached the officers and spoke just loud enough for the nearby crowd to hear. "There's nothing in our bylaws that bans school buses, and certainly nothing that allows blocking the road. She's not on the board. She doesn't speak for us." Karen's face changed instantly, but it was too late. The damage had already been done. The situation had now become a legal issue, not just a neighborhood one, and the livestream still rolling. With the HOA president's statement hanging in the air, the entire street seemed to shift. Karen, still holding her phone up, suddenly wasn't so loud. The officers gave her one last warning to move her car and de-escalate the situation, but she doubled down. "I know my rights," she snapped, refusing to budge. The officer calmly explained that she was now obstructing traffic and interfering with a public school transport. When she still didn't comply, they gave her no choice. Right there, in front of her own livestream audience, the officers began detaining her. She shouted that this was all a mistake, that she was protecting her neighborhood. But the video, the crowd, and the facts said otherwise. As they guided her to the patrol car, the phone slipped from her hand and hit the ground, screen still showing the live feed as comments poured in faster than ever. The street finally cleared. The bus rolled forward slowly, greeted with a small wave from the child's mom, her face a mix of relief and disbelief. Neighbors started clapping, some quietly, some not so much. It felt like a moment of justice. But just when it seemed over, one neighbor walked up to the HOA president and said, "Funny how she thought she was in charge. But didn't you approve her as neighborhood watch last month?" The president paused, then quietly replied, "Yeah, that was a mistake." In the days that followed, things around the neighborhood slowly returned to normal. The special needs bus kept coming every morning, right on time, and now with a bit more support. Neighbors started waving to the driver, even walking their kids out to greet him. The little boy's mom later shared that he never even realized what happened that day, which felt like a small blessing in the middle of all the drama. Karen was released later that day, but her livestream had already gone viral. Clips of her confrontation made the rounds online, and the comments kept flooding in. She eventually took down her social media accounts and stopped showing up at community meetings. The HOA quietly updated their policies, clarifying roles and reminding residents who actually has authority. People in the neighborhood still talk about that morning, not in anger, but as a turning point. It reminded everyone that communities are built on respect, not control. And when people stand up quietly, even just by showing up, things can change. At the end of the day, it wasn't just about a blocked school bus. It was about kindness, boundaries, and learning when to step up and when to simply step aside.